we're gonna be reacting to his story. What?
I put my $50 I'd been hiding from my dad in my pocket, then stuck my head out my bedroom door and watched him. The new arcade had just opened up and I really wanted to go, but Dad never let me leave the house. He searched my sister's room, then went downstairs, and I instantly opened my bedroom window. My heart pounded as I climbed out, and when I saw Dad lay down for his afternoon nap, I knew I had about 90 minutes before he woke up. At the arcade, I had the time of my life, and I even broke the record on the basketball game. When I saw 1 hour had passed, I decided to go home before Dad woke up. But as I was leaving, I saw a long queue in the corner. The sign said, "Jackpot prize, 1 NBA Finals ticket, entry $2. My heart jumped because going to the NBA Finals was my dream. I thought about what Dad would do if I came home late and still decided screw it. In the line, I kept checking the time anxiously as everybody failed. When my turn came, I put in my last $2 and swung the hammer. The neon bar stopped at the jackpot slot and the machine lit up. My eyes went wide because I actually won. The manager instantly gave me the ticket with the official NBA stamp, all while I pinched myself. I sprinted home happier than ever, still not believing this was real. But when I walked in the door, Dad was already waiting with his arms crossed. "Where did you go?" His voice shook with rage, but I was so happy I barely even looked at him. "Just went for a walk." I sprinted to my room immediately. He yelled, "Don't leave the house without my permission again." And I replied, "Okay, sorry, Dad." I placed the ticket into my Steph Curry jersey at the bottom of my drawer with shaking hands, and that night went to sleep with the biggest smile on my face. But when I came home from school the next day, I unfolded the jersey to see the ticket again, but it wasn't there. I immediately panicked and began tearing through every drawer. My eyes filled with tears when I couldn't find it, and that's when I heard my dad behind me. "Looking for your ticket?" He smirked, and I went pale, realizing he knew about it. He laughed. I sold that ticket, and my stomach sank. I shook my head because he knew how much it meant to me, but then he pointed outside. I looked and saw his car, with new shiny chrome rims, freshly tinted windows, and a new paint job. I started crying, but I won that ticket, and Dad's face twisted in anger. He pointed his finger at me. "You broke my rules under my roof to get that ticket. Be thankful you're not grounded too." He slammed my door, and I sat on my room floor, staring at the empty jersey where my ticket was, and crying. I put
Oh my dad, do not do that to your son. Oh, I do not do it. I'm gonna hop on to my bed. Hold on. Ow!
When all the lights in our Airbnb switched off, me and my son ran to the front door to find out what was going on. When we finally managed to pry it open, we were met with a huge pile of snow. Even our rental car was barely visible under the white. I called every emergency number I knew, but none of my calls were going through, so I gently turned to my son. "Go inside. There must have been a blizzard." As soon as he did, I started sweating with panic, because now we were in the middle of nowhere with no phone signal, no source of food, and no way out. I ran to the fridge, and there was only enough food left for 3 days. I buried my face in my hands and walked to my son's room to try and tell him some version of the truth. But when I opened the door, he wasn't there. I heard screaming, so I ran outside and found him packing a third snowman. "I heard you on the phone, Daddy. We get to stay here forever. It's a winter wonderland." He unwound his red scarf and wrapped it around the snowman's neck. "He doesn't have skin. He's colder than me." I laughed because my son was seeing our emergency as a chance to play together. I crouched down and started collecting snow with cupped hands, because I figured distracting my son was the best thing I could do. We built 4 snowmen side by side and dressed them up with clothes from our wardrobe. "Look, son, we have our own snow family." He went to sleep that night with a smile on his face, and even though I was panicking, I knew I'd done the right thing, especially 2 nights later when someone started pounding on the door. Because when I ran to see who it was, I opened the door to a rescue team. The one at the front nodded at the snowmen. My spotter caught a red scarf standing in a field, and we figured you guys were lost in the blizzard. My son grabbed my hand and bounced. They came to see our snowmen. All that time I thought I was keeping him calm, but his playing was the only thing that saved our lives. He pumped both fists and cheered, the same cheer from 2 nights ago. This time I cheered with him. When all the lights in our air
Wait, subcheck. Are you still in it to win it? I think that's smirking.
The whale was tracking my little brother's hand through the glass when the kid behind us chucked popcorn at the tank and yelled, "Eat up, Shamu." Tommy didn't turn around. "That's not Shamu. Her name is Luna, and orcas remember faces." The kid laughed and held up another handful of popcorn and launched it into the tank. "She gonna remember me, whale boy?" Tommy's hands trembled on the railing. He'd loved orcas forever. Mom worked 2 months of doubles for these seats. His smile disappeared, and I saw him clenching his fists. Some rich kid was going to ruin it before the show even started. His 2 friends started cracking cracking up. She probably likes the popcorn, bro. The kid stood up, leaned over the rail, and dumped his soda and popcorn box into the pool. Hope she likes Sprite too. Tommy spun around, his whole body shaking. Stop, you're going to kill her. The kid laughed and shoved Tommy in the chest. Tommy hit the railing and slid to the floor. The three of them stood over him, howling. That was it. I jumped up to show them what happens when you mess with my brother. But that's when Luna let out a low call and disappeared under the water. 2 seconds of nothing. I froze on the steps. Then she breached right in front of them and slammed her tail like a thunderclap. A wall of water hit all three in the face. One slipped and went down screaming. They ran out drenched and crying. A trainer rushed over. Are you okay? She's never done that. She picks her people. Tommy walked to the glass. Luna rose to meet him. He pressed his hand to the glass and she nudged it back. Told you, he said. Orcas remember faces. The whale. I was working at a factory, holding a piece of burning hot metal, when my boss ripped the safety gloves right off my hands. The hot metal dropped to the floor. I yelled, "Hey, I need those. I almost burnt myself." He ignored me and threw my gloves in a trash bag. New policy. You all work without safety gloves now. Real men work with their bare hands. My palms were already burning from the heat. My coworker Joe yelled, "Boss, someone can get seriously hurt." He laughed. Then don't be stupid. He walked down the line and snatched the gloves off every worker. We all knew this was a disaster waiting to happen. Within days.
If you're a boss, do not do that, but do not do that. 'Cause yeah, they might die.
Workers already had second-degree burns on their hands. Another guy had to be hospitalized after a machine took his pinky off. Joe held up his bandaged fingers. "Boss, we need the gloves. Someone's gonna lose a hand." The boss didn't even look up. "Shut up, be a man and work." But I wasn't about to lose my hand over this dumb policy. So that night, I snuck into his office, pulled a pair of gloves out of the trash bag, and hid them in my backpack. Every day after that, I'd secretly slip them on when he wasn't looking, hoping he wouldn't catch me. One afternoon, I heard the worst scream of my life. I turned around and saw Joe. His arm was caught in the metal press. Guys immediately ran over to pull him out, but the metal was burning hot and sharp as a blade. They couldn't touch it without shredding and burning their own hands, and the boss just stood there, frozen. No one had gloves to help. Joe was screaming for someone to save him. That's when I remembered the gloves in my backpack. I yanked them on and grabbed the burning hot press with both hands. It seared and sparked, but the gloves held. I pried it open and pulled Joe's arm free. Paramedics rushed in to take over, and one of them grabbed my shoulder. Another minute and he'd have lost the whole arm. You saved it. A safety inspector showed up to investigate and got angrier by the second. There isn't a single pair of gloves in this entire factory. Who's responsible for this? The whole floor looked at the boss. I spoke up. He is. He said real men work with their bare hands and banned gloves. The boss stood silent. They handcuffed him for every injury he caused. Days later, Joe came back to visit. His arm was wrapped in a brace, and he carried packs of safety gloves for everyone. The principal slapped the vending machine. "This thing isn't getting refilled until every last snack in it is finished." The entire cafeteria groaned because it was filled with off-brand chips and gummies nobody even wanted. I raised my hand. "I volunteer as tribute." Everyone turned to face me, and I kept going. "I weigh 430 pounds. Eating is what I'm good at. I got..."
Oh my, bro! You gotta lose some weight, man! Oh, I thought it was sorry.
The principal slapped the vending machine. "This thing isn't getting refilled until every last snack in it is finished." The entire cafeteria groaned because it was filled with off-brand chips and gummies nobody even wanted. I raised my hand. "I volunteer as tribute." Everyone turned to face me, and I kept going. "I weigh 430 pounds. Eating is what I'm good at. I got it." The entire room watched in silence as I took out $50 worth of candy and finished every piece in 2 minutes. A kid's jaw dropped. Whoa. Another kid near the front slid his dollar into the machine and dropped a chocolate bar on my table. Then another kid did. Then 10 more lined up behind him, feeding the machine and stacking snacks in front of me. The principal crossed her arms by the door. "No way you can keep going." But no one was listening to him, and chaos broke out. The jocks carried me onto the lunch tables and called it my throne. A girl kept my cup full of water, another stacked napkins by my elbow, and a kid I'd never met flipped the breaker so the cafeteria went dark and the principal couldn't see what we were doing. People ran back to their lockers for spare change until the whole school was out of money, and that's when 2 jocks started punching the glass. It cracked, then shattered, and they reached in with their sleeves and handed me everything inside. I was still eating when I saw red and blue lights pull into the parking lot. My fingers were covered in chocolate when they walked us all outside and shut the school down for the day. When we came back the next morning, a brand new machine stood in the corner, but nobody was lined up for the snacks anymore. They were lined up for me. The fat kid saved us. I rubbed my belly. 430 pounds of pure goodness. Told you I got it. The principal slapped My dad burst into my room on the 5th year anniversary of Mom's death and twirled his car keys. "Come on, son, we're going to visit her." He smelled funny and grabbed my wrist tight, dragging me out to the car. He put on Mom's favorite song and began fumbling with his keys before I could even say a word. He peeled out of the driveway and instantly slammed his foot on the accelerator, doing 90 in a 60. I gripped my headrest in fear and told him, "Dad, please slow down." But he just caressed his and Mom's wedding photos taped to the dashboard, whispering, "I'll see you soon." The speedometer climbed past 100 and my heart pounded because his hands kept sliding off the wheel. I screamed, "Dad, no. Mom died because a driver hit her. Don't become the driver that took her." But he instantly turned to me. "Don't talk about my wife." His eyes were off the road as he slurred his words. A truck horn blared and swerved around us, and I pulled out my phone with shaking hands. I dialed 911 and screamed, "Please trace this call. My dad." But then I felt his hand snatching my phone. He threw it out the window and laughed. "We're visiting Mom tonight, one way or another." Oakwood Cemetery came into view, but Dad barely slowed down. I gripped my seat, bracing between my sobs, when Dad turned hard. Our car skidded, and we slammed headfirst into a van coming out of the cemetery gate. The airbags exploded, and I lay there with my face pressed against the white fabric. Blood trickled from my ear as my head pounded, but then I saw Dad slumped over the wheel. I tapped his shoulder. "Dad, are you okay?" But he wouldn't move. I shook him while Mom's favorite song played in the background, and that's when I saw the empty bottle under his feet. The other driver dialed 911, and suddenly an officer was prying open our car. He pressed his fingers to Dad's neck and yelled over his shoulder, "We don't have a pulse. Call an ambulance." My legs collapsed, and a cop came over and put a blanket over my shoulders. "Where were you going tonight?" I looked at them covering Dad in white cloth. "To visit my dead mom." My friends and I were water rafting when our friend Nick yelled, "Watch this!" He stood at the front of the raft, getting ready to dive as we screamed at him to sit down. Then he dove headfirst into the rapids. He was the most reckless, but we all loved him, so no one panicked. But the seconds stretched, and he didn't come up. The laughing stopped. Did he actually get himself killed this time? We dug our paddles in and tried to turn back to save him, but the current was too strong and kept dragging us downstream, away from where he'd gone under. Someone said, "Remember when he jumped off that bridge and missed the rocks by an inch? He survived that, but this time felt different. So we screamed his name over the roar of the water, scanning every wave, but the surface stayed empty. Then we spotted a river guide and flagged him down. "Our friend went under. Can you help us find him?" His face dropped. "That's the second person to go in today," he said. "This water has drowned people. I'm calling for help." But as he grabbed his radio, the clouds went dark, thunder screaming as rain hammered down and whipped the rapids into huge, crashing waves no one could swim through. By the time we reached the end, soaked and shaking, we jumped off the raft and begged the guide, "Please, did you find him?" He shook his head. "We haven't found your friend, and we still haven't found the other one who went in." Nearby, a woman was sobbing into her husband's chest, screaming her daughter's name in the water. I couldn't stop shaking. I started to give up hope, but then the guide's radio crackled. "We found something downstream." My friends and the other family sprinted down.
Hold on, let me close my door. Oh! Ow! That really hurt. I accidentally took a screenshot by accident. It was not my fault. Ow! Oh my god.
Friends and the other family sprinted down the bank toward where the guide pointed, my heart pounding, terrified of what we'd find. Rescuers were dragging something out of the water onto the rocks, but the rain was too heavy to see. Then a figure sat up, coughing, and my breath caught. It was Nick. But he wasn't alone. He had his arms wrapped around a little girl, shielding her as she coughed up water. The sobbing woman screamed and ran, scooping the girl into her arms. Our friend gasped, "Oh my God." He didn't jump in to be reckless. He jumped in to save her. We crowded around him, asking if he was okay. He just grinned up at us, soaked and shivering. The kid was a plus. But did you see my dive? My friends and I were water. Brad kicked my chair so hard I hit the floor. "Get up. I want coffee now." I instantly got up, but he just laughed. "Isn't it funny that you'll be my dog forever when I'm promoted in 2 weeks?" He kept laughing, and I wanted to quit right there. But when I got home, my wife and daughter were sobbing because we got an eviction notice. 14 days to pay rent. My daughter ran up with tears in her eyes. "Daddy, are we losing our house?" "No, sweetheart, we won't, I promise." My wife's hands were shaking. "How do we pay this?" I just looked at her, clueless, but suddenly it hit me. Brad's promotion is 2 weeks away. I could take it. I do all his work already. That raise would save us. But honey, you've never had the confidence to stand up for yourself. How are you gonna do that? She was right, but I had no choice. So I googled how to build confidence. That's when I saw the app, Gain Confidence and Leadership. This was my only chance, so I pressed download. The next morning, Brad slammed his work on my desk, but I remembered what the app taught me. I got up. I'm not doing your work anymore. He immediately froze. I felt proud, but he just reached into his pocket and handed me a paper. It's your new salary. I read it, and my heart stopped. What? But I need the money. I'm getting evicted soon. He just laughed. That's what happens when dogs forget their place. I walked back through my front door feeling awful and showed it to my wife. We can barely buy food with this. My daughter grabbed my arm. Daddy, are we going to a shelter now? I thought about taking her there, and something snapped in me. I touched her face. No, sweetie. Remember my promise. I kept doing my lessons on the app until 5 days before the eviction. The owner asked a tough question at our weekly meeting, and Brad smugly answered, "Wrong, Brad. Anyone else?" And everyone was too scared to speak up, but I answered, and they all stared in shock. That's right. That's when I realized the app made me too strong to stay quiet ever again. I knew I was ready. On promotion day, I stormed into Brad's meeting. I deserved the promotion, not Brad. They looked at me, but he wasn't mad. Okay, why do you think you deserve it instead? I took a deep breath. I do all his work. I'm not afraid to speak up, and Brad calls me a dog. You really call him a dog? Yeah, and a dog is all he'll ever be. He sat there with his smug grin, and I knew it was over. But my boss pointed to the door. Get out! You're fired, and he's getting your promotion. I couldn't believe it. I did it, but then I saw the clock, and I knew I was out of time. Sir, my family's being evicted today. Can I get paid now, please? He just smiled and handed me my check. I instantly burst outside and ran home. But right as I got there, the movers were carrying out our furniture while my wife sobbed. We lost everything! She was bawling, but I pulled out the check and handed it to the landlord. Remember my promise? We're keeping our house. And they both hugged me. But then my wife asked, honey, how did you do all this? So I showed her the app. I downloaded Gleam, and if you're struggling with confidence, you should download it too. Brad. My wife started taking orders from our cat's litter box. It began when the smart box alerted her at 11 one night, and her sister announced a pregnancy the next morning. 2 weeks later, another alert woke us at 4, and that afternoon, my uncle died. Joyce opened a notebook, wrote down both times, and whispered, Wayne knew. Within a month, every bathroom trip became a warning. If Wayne went once, we stayed home. If he went 3 times, she packed our day with errands. I missed my dad's birthday because the cat had been too quiet, and when I laughed, she shut the notebook. You don't have to believe him. You do have to respect him. The hallway became a command center, with charts taped to the walls and red arrows connecting timestamps while Wayne slept beneath them. On our anniversary, I stood by the door in a clean shirt while Joyce sat beside the litter box arranging 3 months of logs across the floor. Wayne went 4 times today. Something's coming. I told her what was coming was our reservation, but she asked for another hour, so I ate leftovers alone. A week later, I found pumpkin treats labeled for digestive health and gave Wayne one with breakfast. His schedule shifted. Joyce built bigger theories, and 2 months later, with 14 relatives around our Thanksgiving table, I hid the bag under my chair and waited. Before anyone carved the turkey, Joyce tapped her glass and held up her phone. Wayne went 5 times last night. He's telling us today will change this family. Her mother slowly nodded. The pregnancy thing was strange. Joyce's brother agreed. Then another relative asked what 5 usually meant. My hand closed around the treat bag under my chair, and for 1 second I wondered if the truth would matter anymore. Then I set it beside the cranberry sauce. I've given him these every morning for 2 months. His schedule changed because of fiber. The room went silent, but Joyce pointed at me. He warned me you'd sabotage our connection. Her father lowered his fork. Joyce, it's a cat. Wayne wandered in, jumped onto the empty chair beside me, and started licking his paw. My phone buzzed with another litter box alert, so I held it up. The prophet has spoken.
Alright. This is the end, guys. Goodbye!